Today on Time About the Movies, I hope you enjoy crap, which then again, if you've seen how 2011 has been so far, you've been accustomed to that, because, there has been a lot of bad movies, and this week does not get any better, unfortunately. We have Battle Los Angeles, Red Riding Hood, and Mars Needs Moms. This is one of those times when I wish I could drink alcohol. I don't drink alcohol, I just never really got into it, but times like this, on weekends like this, and dealing with the fact that I'm going to have to talk about this today, weeks like this make me want to start drinking. So here's the next best thing, a Diet Pepsi. I'm going to chug it as we go ahead and get to the title here for Time About the Movie. So let's go ahead and get to it.
We now know that meteors will land off the coast.
Evacuations are now underway.
It appears that there's some shadowy figures. Lucas, if you could just come back, please.
When you invade a place for its resources, you wipe out the indigenous population. Right now, we are being colonized. Rated PG-13.
Excuse me. Yeah, this is why I don't chug. Yeah, that was completely pointless. But just like this weekend, welcome to Time About the Movies. Today we are taking a look at the three films, in quotation marks, of March 11, 2011. They're called films, but I'd like to consider them steaming piles of garbage, because, yeah, every single one of these movies is absolutely horrible. Case in point with our first film, Battle Los Angeles, in which you have a Marine Staff Sergeant played by Aaron Eckhart, who leads a platoon of U.S. Marines joined by other stranded military personnel defending Los Angeles from an alien invasion. Now, if you remember the movie Skyline from back in November, there was a controversy going on between the Strauss brothers, Greg and Colin. Still recovering from that, but from the drink, by the way. But they were hired to do visual effects work on Battle Los Angeles, but they also were using the same type. But they were also making their own Los Angeles-based alien film in Skyline, which was supposed to compete with Battle Los Angeles and use the resources they had gained while working on the film without the consent of Sony Pictures. And so, spokesman for the Strauss said that any claims of impropriety are completely baseless. This is a blatant attempt to Sony to force these independent filmmakers to move a release date that had been long set by universal relativity and is outside of the filmmakers' control. And then Sony initiated arbitration against Hydraulic and the Strauss brothers, and then later dismissed the arbitration. I think they realized that this was not a case they really wanted to get into, because both of those movies are fucking terrible. And yeah, this is just as bad, if not worse, than Skyline, because this is literally just District 9, except with an even bigger, blown-up budget. And this is Sony Pictures ripping off District 9. They released District 9 under TriStar. This is like if the producers of that movie the producers of Battle Los Angeles came to District 9 and say, hey, can I copy your homework? Okay, yeah, but change some things around so it doesn't look like you're cheating. And they failed miserably at that, because, yeah, you could take all the places out of District 9 and literally put it in this movie. That's exactly what Battle Los Angeles is. A steaming pile of garbage that's just ripping off District 9 and just failing miserably at it. And it's just not a good movie. The visuals are just so terrible. Like, this is like a Michael Bay Transformers movie, except Michael Bay is nowhere near this film whatsoever. And they're not doing a good job of making this thing look any kind of realistic whatsoever. It doesn't even look good for a video game. I mean, this thing looks terrible. Terrible. Like, the visuals are terrible. It takes itself way too seriously. Like, this is way too serious for a film that should be stupid fun all across the board. This needed to be like Starship Troopers on that type of a level. But this movie is just so ridiculously stupid. It's way too long. This cast is completely wasted in here. You got Aaron Eckhart, Bridget Moynihan, Neo, Michael Pena, Michelle Rodriguez, Ramon Rodriguez, directed by Jonathan Liebsman, who is not the best director overall. I mean, granted, he did do Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, which wasn't that bad of a movie compared to some of his other films. But then again, you would expect this from the same director who did Darkness Falls. And I think this actually was the last thing he did. No, I thought it was, but no, he did the not even a movie, but he did the short film of Rings. He also did the Texas Chainsaw Massacre at the beginning, and yeah, okay. This guy is not a great director. His best movie was Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. He also did Wrath of the Titans, which the sequel that nobody was asking for, but because Clash of the Titans was a success, that's why we got it. This thing sucks. This movie is not a good movie. This is a lousy, lousy film. Terribly put together, badly written, just choppy, horrible visual effects, just a blatant ripoff of District 9, and not in any good way, shape, or form. This movie sucks, plain and simple. And yeah, this is about as bad as you can get. So yeah, that's Battle of Los Angeles. Let's keep this steamy pile of a weekend continuing with our next movie, and that is Amanda Seyfried in Red Riding Hood.
Where you going? Your grandmother's. She's in danger.
In daytime, the werewolf returns to its human form.
It's coming for me.
It's here. Come with me.
What big eyes you have.
Red Riding Hood starts March 11th.
You gotta be kidding me. No, seriously, where's the real movie at? Oh, this is the real movie. Oh my god. Oh, this movie. Talk about the ultimate pathetic attempt to try to rip off Twilight. We even brought in the same director who did Twilight to do this movie, and it's oh my god, this movie. Let's talk about this lovely, lovely train wreck of a movie. Amanda Seyfried plays Valerie, a beautiful young woman torn between two men. She is in love with a brooding outsider played by Shiloh Fernandez. I love how the synopsis even has to say, a brooding outsider. It's just like, they didn't even try to cover their tracks in the thinking that this isn't going to be a Twilight knockoff, but her parents have arranged for her to marry the wealthy Henry, played by Max Irons. I thought it was Jeremy Irons for a second, which, considering how stupid this movie is, I wouldn't have put it past them to do that, but unwilling to lose each other, Valerie and Peter are planning to run away together when they learn that Valerie's older sister has been killed by the werewolf that prowls the dark forest surrounding their village. Because we gotta bring werewolves into the story of Little Red Riding Hood. This thing is so stupid. For years, the people have maintained an uneasy truce with the beast, so we're ripping off the village too while we're at it, offering the creature a monthly animal sacrifice. But under a blood-red moon, the wolf has upped the stakes by taking a human life. Hungry for revenge, the people call on famous werewolf hunter Father Solomon, played by Gary Oldman, because let's throw in some Van Helsing in there, why not, to help him kill the wolf. But Solomon's arrival brings unintended consequences as he warns that the wolf who takes human form by day could be any one of them. As the death toll rises with every moon, Valerie begins to suspect that the Wolfman could be someone she loves. As panic grips the town, Valerie discovers that she has a unique connection to the beast, one that exorbitantly draws them together, making her both suspect and bait. Oh my god, this is one of the stupidest movies I've ever seen in my entire life. Like, this movie is awe-inspiring. How bad this is. This is one of the most pathetic, lazy attempts to try to bring Twilight into anything. This movie is the prime example of what happens when you try to copy a trend and you fail miserably at it. This movie is exactly that. This is literally the definition of a film that refuses to take its... is like, the way you gotta do this, you gotta do this as a parody, or play it straight. Do what the Naked Gun movies do. Like, play the story straight, but don't be afraid to be funny. The problem with this is that they take themselves extremely too seriously. Everything about this movie is so pathetically put together and so badly put together. Like, this movie literally is, hey, Twilight's a success. We want our Twilight success too. And yeah, we don't have any source materials to actually do this with, so just take a classic story. Red Riding Hood, let's do with that. Like, that's exactly what happens in this movie. Nothing about this movie makes any sense whatsoever. The effects in this movie are terrible. Actors who know better. They know better than to star in garbage like this. Amanda Seyfried has been a good actress. Gary Oldman's a good actor. Virginia Madsen has been great and stuff. Julie Christie. They got Julie Christie for this movie. Like, and this is one of the last things she did. And this isn't written by a hack either. This is written by the guy who wrote the Conjuring movies, David Leslie Johnson. He wrote Aquaman. These are people that are talented. Hell, I give Catherine Hardwicke credit, but before Twilight, it was proven that she was a good director. She did Lords of Dogtown. She did 13. She did The Nativity Story. The whole idea of the movie is stupid. You're asking these people who know better to dumb yourselves down so that we can have a knockoff of a popular franchise, and the end result is this hilariously bad train wreck of a film that is not even funny as a guilty pleasure movie. It's just a funny as in, you've got to be kidding me that you spent all this money on this film, this idea right here. This is even worse than Beastly. At least with Beastly, you got a sense that it was Beauty and the Beast. You got a sense that, yeah, they were knocking up with Twilight, but at least in that movie, they were at least trying to do something new and different with it. It didn't work, but it did a whole lot better of a job than this piece of garbage does. Like, this is unbelievably bad. This is ungodly awful. This whole thing is just a colossal failure on every single level. This is without a doubt one of the worst movies, not just of this year, but one of the worst movies ever made. Like, this is unbelievably bad, and everyone involved in this should be ashamed of themselves for attaching themselves to this garbage. This is fucking awful, man. This is fucking awful. Just, I think you get the point. Red Riding Hood, avoid this one like the plague. It is that bad of a film. It is garbage. It is a train wreck. It's a colossal failure on so many levels. So, with that said, let's go ahead and end this lovely, lovely week of movies with easily one of the biggest, is the biggest failure on so many levels. The failure so bad that it shut down a major production company that was on the rise after 2 successful movies done in the 2000s, but then they went to Mars and it all went downhill from there. Because, according to this movie, Mars needs moms.
You didn't eat your broccoli. No broccoli, no TV. Milo, is that broccoli?
No, that's vomit, but I understand the confusion.
I told you to eat that.
You're not gonna make me eat it now, are you? Isn't a good thing to say. I'm gonna go tell her I'm sorry. Mom? No.
Let her go! Wait! Let me go! I'm in a spaceship.
This is so cool!
I'm just messing with you. Welcome to Mars. My name is Gribble. This is Touquet. What's your handle?
Milo.
How about I call you my bro? Check it.
What is going on?
The fact is, Mars needs moms, so the aliens are stealing them from Earth to raise their own kids.
I should mention that this is based off of a book by Berkeley Breathed, who also gave us Opus and Bill, and he famously said that he did not like the way that the Wish for Wings That Were Christmas special came out. You know, he thought that his characters deserved better, and he wanted nothing to do with that. I wouldn't be surprised. I would not be shocked at all if he was behind this movie, because clearly the guy has no idea. Clearly the guy apparently has no idea how to make good materials out of his work, because the one that he did with Opus and Bill works a hell of a lot better than this pile of garbage did. This is a film that is so bad that they shut down their motion capture. Robert Zemeckis' big motion capture production company shut down after this. They were supposed to do a Yellow Submarine movie, and because this movie failed so miserably, it bombed, and they shut this down, and eventually the studio was reabsorbed back into Image Movers, and there was never another motion capture movie made after this, made in this particular style. I mean, we've had motion capture films since then, done much better, but this is the thing that, this is a killer. It's a killer on so many levels. It's a killer for the respect of this company. It was a killer for Robert Zemeckis. It was a killer for Disney, which apparently didn't learn their lesson that maybe stop going to Mars, because every time you go to Mars at the box office, it fails miserably, because you had this, you had Mission to Mars at the beginning of the century at 2000, and then a year later they said John Carter, which wasn't called John Carter at Mars because we got to cover it up so the film can do well, and it still bombed hard at the box office. But at least that one was much better than the other two movies. This right here is the worst of the worst. The story, if you even want to call it that, is a story about a 9-year-old boy named Milo, who sets out to save his mother on Mars after she is abducted by Martians because, as the title indicates, Mars needs moms for their alien kids. This is one of the stupidest movies I've ever seen in my life. Like, this isn't Red Riding Hood stupid, where everything about it just fails miserably. The idea is there for something good, but it just doesn't work because the jokes aren't funny, the visuals are terrible, the comedy is bad, the voice work is really pointless. Like, why do we have Seth Green as the main kid? Why is Dan Fogler in this movie? Like, this is another one of those movies that I feel like was involved for several years at Disney, and then Disney needed something to put on in the springtime, so fuck it, put this down. Joan Cusack is in here. Why? Because she's done a lot of other works for us in the past. Tom Everett Scott is in here too. Why? No reason. Mindy Sterling, Frau Farbissina. Why is she in here? We don't know. The chick from Return to Oz is in here. Why is she in here? Again, we don't know. There's just names in here that you know, and like, this thing just doesn't work whatsoever. This is a movie that is so lousy and so lazy at doing something incredible, unique and all that. It takes everything that made The Christmas Carol and The Polar Express and Beowulf work as well as it did, and just completely dismantles it almost immediately. Like I said, it destroyed the career of Simon Wells as a director. Simon Wells was an animation director who did some good stuff back in the day. Like, he did decent stuff like An American Tale, 50 Goes West, Balto, The Prince of Egypt, even stuff like We're Back, A Dinosaur Story. But then he did The Time Machine, he did Mars Needs Moms, and now his career is pretty much dead in the water. Like, he hasn't done anything of noteworthiness since then, and he's been basically, not to say that he hasn't gone away from filmmaking as a whole. He still gets work. He went back over to DreamWorks Animation to work on several films, and he's still working there even as of today. He did Kung Fu Panda 4, he did Ruby Gilman Teenage Kraken, so he's still doing a lot of work there, but considering that this guy was once a respected animation director and somebody that had a bright future ahead of him after all the years he worked at Amblin and then at DreamWorks Animation, the fact that his career came down to this is the last bit of his career coming down to this pile of garbage, it just goes to show you how far your career goes from there. Because you thought The Time Machine was the low point of his career, but this is a mess. This is a terrible movie. Badly animated, bad comedy, bad uses of its voice cast, just a complete waste of time and effort, and it lost Disney a shit ton of money at the box office. This is this is one of those movies that could kill a studio at this point, but, Disney finds a way, and they did find a way back later on in the year, but, yeah, overall, not a good movie. This is not a very good film. In fact, far from it. It's a terrible movie that was the death of motion capture for Robert Zemeckis, and hey, at least a positive came out of it. It made Robert Zemeckis go back to making movies that actually were of his talents, because he would follow it up with Flight the following year, and then The Walk a couple years later. Since then, not so much. He's gone back kind of down with Welcome to Marwen and The Witches and Pinocchio, and he's kind of back to where he was at this point in time, but yeah, that's pretty much all I got for you on this one. Mars needs moms. No, Mars needs better movies, and Mars needs to stay the fuck away from Disney, because every time they go there, it's never a good sign. Oh my god, that was one of the worst. That was one of the worst weekends for movies I've ever had to look at on here. Not just for the number of bad movies, but not just bad movies, but god-awful movies that failed on every single level possible. And, yeah, that's just a perfect sum-up of the year of 2011 as a whole. I keep talking about it, but that's what this year has been so far. More bad movies than good movies. But at least, again, just like the week before this, next week we'll have some much better movies to look at here. At least 2 of them, I know. Bradley Cooper is starring in Limitless with Robert De Niro also in the cast. Matthew McConaughey starring in The Lincoln Lawyer, which is a film that is important in his career because it helped him kind of relaunch his career in general from being the romantic comedy guy and more back to the actor that we knew him for back in the early 90s. We also have Paul with Simon Pegg and Nick Frost starring in a movie where they have to help an alien played by Seth Rogen get back home. we'll take a look at that one as well. Directed by the guy who did Superbad, too. So we'll have a much better show, I promise you, next time around. That'll be tomorrow. But until then, thank you so much for watching this. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, go ahead and hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification button. Also, don't forget to check out our playlist, and don't forget to check out the last episode we did. So with all that said, whether it's in the past, the present, or the future, I will see you at the movies. Hopefully with a much better schedule of films to look at. So, until then, take care.